Well, it's Sunday the 29th out here, and as you can hear, it's still raining. But I'm looking for an inside project. I don't feel like sanding the rabbit. But it's been determined I'm getting too old to drag this door open and close all the time. It's getting heavier as I get older. And yeah, I need to do something about that. So anyway, I had a plan. I've got, let's see here. Do that. Got a few of these laying around. These motors. I'm a pack rat, and won't go into the history of them, but suffice it to say, I have, I don't know, half a dozen of them. But anyway, we got basically a little quarter horse motor here with a reduction setup. You can see here we got this chain drive, and anyway, according to the little tag here, we got 400 inch-pounds of torque. I don't know, I'm guessing that's what, about, that's better than 30 foot-pounds of torque, which ought to be plenty to run that door open and close. It's really tough to spin this guy, and I'm sure it's plenty torquey to run that door. Anyway, yeah, I can run this thing either direction based on the wiring in the back here. Back here, switching leads around, I can spin it either way. So yeah, I'm working on figuring out a way to you know, work up some switches here to use this chain drive motor bolted way up high on the upright by the door and chain across. Anyway, to open and close the door. So this thing will tip that high. Yeah, it won't. Anyway, way up there at the top of this door, got that 2x6 running across the top of the door. Anyway, I'll be able to put some kind of a hook on either right up there at the end of it, which I can hook to my chain, and then I'll mount the motor way up here, being as my power's on this side. Yeah, I haven't got all the switching figured out, but I definitely have to put in a switch at each end, a limit switch, so when the door reaches the wit's end there, either direction, it shuts itself off, just in case, you know, whoever's running the door isn't competent enough to let it stop. See if we can see it. It's got all the specs, you know, typical. The actual gear ratio, unfortunately, is chipped off on this motor, so I'll have to grab another one and look at it. But the plate, the little name tag, is chipped right where it tells me the actual gear ratio. But it talks about the horsepower and blah blah blah. Anyway, over here is the directional part. Got a red lead and a black lead, and it talks about changing the two leads to change the direction of rotation, which in fact works because I've done it. So it turns out the switching of this motor is a little more complicated than I had originally thought. I do in fact have to switch polarity of the two wires. I can't just feed power one way or the other to change direction. So that required a double pole, double throw switch, and that'll be my directional switch. And then what I got here to run the door actually is a dead man. It's a on, off, and we'll go ahead and use that. This in fact is a automotive style, but it's plenty plenty big enough to run this little motor here, so that'll work out. I'm going to go ahead and wire this thing up and see if it'll function for me.
What you think about it is narrowing it down a little bit. Because there's 6 strings and 4 fingers.
Those there are the directional wires. The 2 that have the little red stripe on them are the ones going to the power. The 2 without are the ones going to the windings. So, see if I can sort this all out. Well, I'm calling it wired here, sorta. It's a fairly tight squeeze, but I got everything in there. Got my hot, my common, my directional wires, and a nice green ground wire there. The ground will be redundant because it's going to be grounded to another box, which is going to be grounded, and so anyway, ground the hell out of everything. Makes for less sparks. Alright, for test purposes, I'm going to go ahead and wire all my switches with pigtails, and then mount everything up in this box. But later I can go ahead and just remove my wire nuts and move the switch plate down to the box that's going to be down at the bottom where I actually use it. I also have to extend my wires. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and wire up my switches with some pigtails here. I figured I would show here what I'm using. I'm using a 2-pole, 2-throw switch for my direction. 2 center lugs here are my incoming power from the motor, and then the toggle in one position or the other will either energize these 2 or the 2 on the other end, and I've crossed those so that this pair of wires runs back to the motor to the windings. So I flip the toggle one way and the windings are energized one direction, flip the toggle the other way and they're energized in the other position, in the other direction. And then I'll have a momentary start-stop. Well, I guess it's time to play with the spaghetti here, so I'll let you watch me do it. And I kind of know what's going on here. I've got my line right here. I've got my power to the directionals here with the little red markings. I got my ground, which is green, and then I have my lines going to the actual windings here, so this will be coming back from these guys depending on my directional switch. Okay. What are the odds? Oh yeah, that'll fit in there just fine. Well, it's Monday here now out at the Beetle Barn anyway, and I managed to destroy that little switch there, putting it in the box. Made across the ocean. I think we all know where that is, and I kind of looked on the internet for a switch and didn't really find anything that was doing it. So today I went to the local franchise. Guess we can see that, and in fact it is the place. Came up with this one. Got a lot more little spots there, which means I'll be able to run my limit switch on my door through this switch as well, so that once you get all the way open, you're not able to open it any farther. And when you get all the way closed, you can't close it any farther. So this switch is going to work out much better. And it's not made across the ocean. It's made on this side of the ocean, a little bit south of us. But yeah, nice switch. And it's way overrated for what we got going on here. And it's for industrial equipment. So this will work out good. A little update here. We're about ready for a test flight on this new mess of stuff with this pretty new switch here that in fact, has extra leads. I got a pair extra. But, I don't know. It'd be kind of a pain in the ass to explain all this, but the way I have it wired now, the theory of operation is that I have my directional right here, and then I use my push button for the actual running of the door, on, off, and when I get to the limit where the door is all the way open or all the way closed, whatever direction I'm going, theoretically it will turn itself off no matter what I do with the button. I can't overrun my door. And I've done that with, for now, I'm just for a test purposes, I'm using a couple of light switches wired. I will get normally closed switches to put on the end of my door. One will go on one end, one will go on the other end. So when these are on, it's as if the door was not touching either one. Anyway, so what I guess I'm going to do here, first thing is insulate that rat's nest there and push it down inside the metal box, which in fact I put an extender on because it got pretty crowded in there. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll do a test run. Alright, I guess we're ready for a test flight here. I put a chunk of cardboard back there, a little better contrast behind, I guess. Anyway, I have not plugged it in yet, so do that first and watch for smoke. I'm going to put this in the off neutral position there. Alright, so plugs in and power's on. Ooh, nothing's happening. Okay, so what I've got are my two limit switches. One is open, one is closed. I don't know which is which yet. I got to figure that out later. This is all theoretical. I haven't tried it. I put a little yellow hash mark here on the gear so we can see it go round and round. So I guess we're going to try this direction. Be it open or closed, I don't know yet till I hang the thing up. And everything is grounded, so I can go ahead and touch this metal box. Okay, so we're going that direction, and I got to figure out, huh?
Oh, now you can see it, barely. There you go.
Okay, so we're going whatever direction that is, that, you know, opened or closed. We'll have to sort all that later. But when I get to wit's end and the door comes to the end, my normally closed switch will open and it stops. That way I don't overextend my my door travel, and no matter what I do here, it won't go. But when I want to go ahead and close the door, go the opposite direction, I'll flip my directional. And now, in fact, it is going the other direction. And as soon as I start going, my limit switch will automatically go back into the on position. So now I'm in the middle of the door somewhere. I can go ahead and stop it if I don't want to go all the way open or all the way closed, and then I can go either direction. But if I'm closing now, get to the end and the door is closed, in fact the other limit switch will turn it off, so I can't overextend. So apparently my controls here are going to work great. I have to buy a couple of normally closed switches here that are spring loaded, so when my little indicator hits them, they will open, and then when the door travels the other way, they'll automatically close again. But yeah, it appears that I'm gonna do great with this little project here. Get to the end and off it goes. Anyway, so that's the beginnings of the redneck garage door opener. And in fact, the most expensive thing out of pocket so far was this new switch that I bought today. It is a 4-pole double throw switch, and having that, I could have used a 3-pole double throw, but the 4-pole gives me an extra pair for, I don't know, whatever I want to do with them. But yeah, that allows me to include these limit switches here in the whole process on the directional part of it. And of course centered is just plain off. So go one way, go the other way. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's it for today's little business. I got to buy some chain and build some hangers and brackets and get a couple little normally closed limit switches. But yeah, redneck garage door opener. Thanks for watching.